How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today we're talking about the reasons people are deciding to move from Florida to Colorado, and we're discussing them starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Evertson. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around Denver, Colorado, then this is the channel for you. So the subscribe button and notification icon popping up on your screen, click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I work to be a little entertaining here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of Denver's most talented realtors. And we are helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person. Answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails. There, win in if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for, and that is, why are all these people moving from Florida to Colorado? So listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend as though people aren't going to have already their opinions of this matter, or they already know some things, and some of them are going to be obvious. But we're going to talk about what people, whether it's clients, friends, resources, both from Florida moving to or back from, have shared with me. So first and foremost, and this is probably a no duh, but a lot of people moving from Florida to Denver and Colorado for that matter are doing it for climate reasons and vice versa. You have people moving from Florida to Colorado looking for milder weather. Not so hot in the summer, not so humid. They can deal with, or believe they can deal with, a winter that's going to involve some snow. And obviously this is going to differ depending on what parts of Florida you are coming from, but that does tend to be the change, right? You've got a tropical or subtropical climate there in Florida. And so you have people moving out here to get a little more mild, and you have people from Colorado, retirees, people from Colorado making their way out to Florida because they want that heat. The second big thing we hear is our big mountains. No, is our topography. So Florida, not a lot of mountains, not a lot of height. You've got some hills there. People love coming out to Colorado specifically for the Rocky Mountains. They love the fact that they can get up into the mountains, whether they are doing that in the wintertime because they enjoy winter sports, or because they like getting up there in the summertime, getting out, or they like getting out here in the summer, getting up to the mountains for some hiking, some biking, some camping, all of those things. And again, avoiding humidity, and for the most part, avoiding mosquitoes. Colorado's got that on you too, Florida. Of course, we have no Disneyland, but we're going to get to that later. And so one of the more interesting dynamics is in this conversation I've had with clients moving here, is the people that, and I understand first and foremost that not everyone living in Florida lives along or near a coastline. Let's just get that out of the way. No more so than a lot of people living in Colorado don't live right next to or close to the Rocky Mountains, and we don't all take advantage of it. But there is a huge sense of people making a determination of whether their proximity to the ocean is better than the potential for their proximity to the mountains. So I have a lot of people who say, you know what, if you've been around the ocean for too long, or all your life, you don't appreciate it the same way. I want mountains. Just the same as someone who's been near mountains might say, you know what, hell no, I've had enough mountains. I need some ocean in my life. From a population or density standpoint, Florida, obviously you've got a lot of big cities and a lot of growth. And obviously we know our big ones are Miami's, our Tampa's, our Pensacola's. Somebody's gonna laugh at me for saying Pensacola. Orlando's. You've got some cities with some size to them. From a population density, you're sitting at 300, according to the demographics, 384 people per square mile. Whereas Colorado sits at 52 people per square mile. Now, again, we have some cities. Denver is a sizable city. Colorado Springs, not too bad. But you don't have a ton of big cities in Colorado the same way you do as Florida. So population a bit more spread out, not as many folks. You're not having to elbow your way through crowds here. And one of the more interesting and realistic things that clients have told me is getting out of Florida due to hurricanes, due to natural disasters. And some of them, it's not even that drastic as hurricanes. It's just the fierce rainstorms that you get in Florida. Now, coming out to Colorado, we're not really dealing with natural disasters. Our idea of a natural disaster is an avalanche. Granted, that can affect people, but only a few. Certainly not doing the damage that a hurricane does, so you can see that way out. Now, a few just realistic factors. We've talked about weather, we've talked about mountains versus oceans and all of that stuff. So, big factors. Florida, again, the talk of how much of the economy is based on tourism and the fact that people who live in Florida don't necessarily take advantage of the tourist attractions, the things that, you know, some fool from Colorado might think you just want to do all the time, you're not taking advantage of. So people move here so that they can enjoy the amenities available. And especially when we talk about getting outdoors and enjoying hikes, enjoying skiing and doing these different things. Whereas, I talked to a couple clients in particular lately who said, I asked them, do you go, they live near Orlando. I said, do you go to Disney World? I almost said Disneyland. I think I did say Disneyland earlier in this video. So please don't hate me for saying Disneyland by accident. But, do you go to Disney World? Do you go to Universal Studios? Do you go to SeaWorld? No. The tourists do that and they're packed. And that completely makes sense to me. So you have these people moving here to avoid that nonsense. And on top of that, they talk about the fact that you want to do outdoor activities here. Again, the hot is not as hot. If you can deal with the cold, it's not that cold and it's not humid. So you are not drenched in sweat and liquid the way you are in Florida. Here, it's nice and dry. You can get out and about, enjoy yourself. You do need to drink water and put on lotion because it is dry as hell, but you get it. Next, we talk about housing and affordability, and this is going to really depend certainly on where you are coming from Florida. Overall, as a whole, the cost, the affordability in Denver is lower than Florida as a whole. The cost of affordability, if you're just looking at Colorado as a whole versus Florida as a whole, is pretty even. When I started to compare city to city, as you might anticipate, Miami was about 5 to 6% more expensive than Denver, about 3% higher on housing. Whereas Tampa compared to Denver was roughly 16% more expensive, and housing was between 9 to 10% higher. So, it's really obviously going to depend on what areas of Florida you are in and what areas of Colorado you would like to move to. Education can be a big factor. Both states have rated highly, but Colorado as a whole tends to rate higher than Florida does, again, as a whole, when we're talking K through 12. From an economic standpoint, a lot of reports on this. Florida really, again, relies a ton on tourism, on getting people to visit the state, whereas Colorado has, and specifically Denver, has a much more diverse economy built off of finance, aerospace, economics, education, healthcare. So Denver and the state have a lot of different industries keeping it going, whereas if there is a situation that affects tourism, that can dramatically impact what happens in Florida. And listen, we can't not say it. I mean, the fact is, people from California, Texas, Florida, there's certain states where we know politically there's some viewpoints. So Colorado has really started to move in the direction of blue. I don't think there's no hiding that. That has occurred. We know Florida gets as red as can be for the most part. So I do feel as though you get an interchanging. You've got some folks here who want to get more to the political leanings of Florida and vice versa, something to be aware of. And again, I know some people find politics to be a very important factor when they're moving, and some people could care less, but that's just the deal. Colorado, you say it's purple, it's pretty blue. Florida, I mean, I'd say that's pretty red, right? And again, we're not going to get into Disney World. Leaving it. And one more very important factor when considering a potential move from Florida to Colorado, and this honestly has made some people that I've talked to think twice about this move, is the fact that, as you know, if you're living in Florida, you do not have a state income tax, whereas in Colorado, we do. It is a flat 4.55% income tax. So that can, if you're not moving here for a job, if you're moving here remotely, that can certainly impact your finances. And certainly, we got to be lighthearted at some points. So obviously you have, the difference in cultures. I'm married to a Latina. I know the Latin community in Florida, very popular, music, food, your tire energy in a lot of these communities. If you're looking at moving from a Miami to a Denver, you can anticipate life slowing down a bit. If you're moving from a Miami to Denver, you can anticipate life's going to be a bit more affordable, but also a bit more slowed down. If you're coming from an Orlando, a Tampa, a Pensacola, something like that, now you're looking at communities that are going to be probably bigger and a little more fast-paced. Can't forget Jacksonville. I know Jacksonville's popular. So you've got a ton of that Latin and Caribbean culture in Florida. Denver, you get, and Colorado, you get more of a mix. I know that, we kind of get this Old West cowboy vibe in Colorado. That's not really true. There's been a ton of a mixing pot here. But the people of Colorado, you tend to have a big mix. We have a huge Hispanic community here. A lot of people coming from California, a lot of Texas, a lot of Florida. You get a lot of people who enjoy the outdoors, a lot of people enjoying nature, that sort. So you can expect maybe a change in music. You can expect a change in food. Food's not as good here, just my thought. And the last thing I would mention is that Colorado doesn't drive in as many retirees. I joked about them earlier, but the fact is, everybody I know, retiring, I got buddies my age talking about retiring to Florida. So you do not see that as much moving to Colorado. But hey, if there's a good discussion to be had, I'm down to have it. That's what I'm here for. And that's why that number and email are on your screen right now. I am always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails, there when and if you need me. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everett. That is reasons people are moving from Florida to Colorado. Until I see you next time, peace.